Yes, it's on.
Hi, welcome everybody to In Air's Kitchen. Sorry we're starting late. I was just talking to myself for the past 8 minutes or so, and then we realized it wasn't going through. I've been trying to figure out this YouTube streaming live. It is amazing how convoluted and badly the thing works. It's been having trouble every time we get started. I was trying a new way this time, and it didn't start when we thought it would. So apologies for that. We're up and running now. Thank you to everybody who's hanging out with us. Blue, does it look like it's having another problem?
Yeah, it says error.
What does it say?
Error, YouTube is not receiving enough videos.
To maintain smooth streaming, as such viewers are experiencing. Here's what I would just stop that. Okay. And sorry everybody. There we go. All right. Okay. I think it's working now. Again, sorry to everybody about the rough start. Not the first one, and I'm sure it won't be the last one. Please, if anybody works for YouTube, get this stuff to work properly because it's awfully frustrating. The alternative is we stop doing live because I think that's an easy way to do it, or we do live on another platform. In any case, let's get on with the show. Welcome everybody. We're going to do something really fun today. It's pouring rain outside. It's a Friday, and I thought it would be fun to make pizza. And we're also going to make some soda recipes. So the pizza, we're going to do a fun little challenge. I occasionally will order pizza for delivery or pickup or something like that when I've had a long day or I don't feel like cooking. I know we're all at home right now and we're not really in a rush, but I thought it'd be fun to share with you all a really quick pizza recipe. This is a recipe that it's not an artisanal pizza. My brother-in-law is really great at making pizza. He would never make this pizza. It's not going to be the ultimate crust or the ultimate flavor that you can possibly achieve. But what it has going for it is we can make this pizza faster than we can receive delivery. And that's pretty awesome. And we can make from scratch so we can control exactly what's in it. And I think it will taste a lot better than the pizza that's going to arrive at the door. So we're going to do a little stunt. I'm going to go through right now what the ingredients are. And then we're going to place an order on the phone for pizza, and then I'm going to get going, and we're going to see if the door knocks or the pizza comes out of the oven. We're going to see which thing happens first. So first, I thought we should just go through some of the ingredients we're going to be using today. For the pizza crust, we're going to use flour. This is an organic white flour, and the benefit, this is one of the great things about making your own pizza, and one of the reasons we start doing this more often is you can't buy pizza that has organic. And people just don't see the value in paying extra for that, and so pizza places don't make it because customers aren't going to pay for it. But that said, I think that there are a lot of reasons you might want to start working with organic flour. In our house, we don't buy any flour that's not organic. And one of the big things is it won't have residue of pesticides. There's a really serious pesticide that's been used, or sorry, not pesticide. There's a really serious chemical that actually kills a plant that is an herbicide. It's been used on our flour supply for the last 6 or 8 years. So it's called Roundup, and I'm sure a lot of Roundup is left on the non-organic flour. A lot of residue is left, and I think that might have something to do with all the sensitivities people have been developing. What is it?
It's good.
Okay, all right. You hopped over here. I thought you had something you wanted to tell me. Okay. We have yeast. This yeast I'm using is an instant yeast. It's called SAF-T yeast. It comes in a red bag or a blue bag. I almost hesitate to do this recipe first because it does require that you have instant yeast, and I know that the grocery stores are low on yeast right now. I don't know if everybody has yeast at home. So if you do, you can follow along. If you don't, hang out. We're going to do some sourdoughs getting going next week and the following week. And those you can make at home with just any old flour. I've got some salt here, and I have some olive oil, and we're going to need water. And those are going to be the ingredients for our pizza dough. This is really, really different than the ingredient list you would find at Dominos or someplace like that. There's a lot of stuff in the dough, and we get to control exactly what goes into this one. And we're going to do it faster, I'm pretty sure. When I told Violet what we were doing for the show, she was like, "Uh-oh, Papa, we're going to win." We're going to top the pizza with tomato sauce. I love tomato sauce on pizza. I don't often like a white pizza, so we'll probably do one of those here, but we're going to mostly make tomato sauce. And I have a can of tomatoes here. I'll show you how to use that as a great sauce for your pizza. We have some different cheeses. I've got a little bit of Parmesan here, a stub of Parmesan. I have some sharp cheddar cheese. I've got some Landac. So we're gonna have fun with those cheeses on the pizza. I love cheddar cheese on pizza. If you like mozzarella, you can use that. I love onions on pizza. We have some kale left over from a dinner. Pizzas are a great opportunity to look through your fridge, see what you have. We have a little bit of fresh basil. We have some roasted veggies that we made in last Friday's episode. They've been in the fridge since then. They're still great. So we're going to put some roasted vegetables on a pizza. Violet's reaching out instinctively for the potatoes because she loves potatoes. And I was thinking, I have some cheese sauce from some pretzels we made the other day. And I thought that cheese sauce and potatoes and sauerkraut might be yummy. We put a little bit of beer in that cheese sauce. I think it'll be good. I've got some olives here. I'll go on a pizza, and I have some beautiful mushrooms from Fat Moon Farm. And this is a local purveyor. They are out of Chelmsford, and those are going to be really beautiful in a pizza. So those are some of the ingredients we're going to use. You guys can use whatever you want in your pizza. One of the fun things about making it home, you can use things that are in your fridge. You can use ingredients you know and you trust and you love, and you can all put it together. It's a lot of fun doing it with the kids. So these are the ingredients we're going to need to make pizza. The critical ones here are flour and yeast, oil, salt, and water, and then you can top it with whatever you'd like. I'm going to go through the shopping list now for sodas. So we're going to make a couple different sodas today. We had some requests for strawberry soda, which I can't wait to have that. It makes my mouth water just thinking about it. Strawberries, blueberries, rhubarb, we're a little ways away from those things, so I don't have those yet. But maybe we'll come back to sodas and agua frescas when we have some of the fresh fruit. In the meantime, I have some Massachusetts cranberries that have been in my fridge probably since November. I've just been using them a little bit at a time, but they hold really, really well. So we're going to have some cranberry soda, which will be a lot of fun. I have some beautiful yellow carrots in the fridge, so we're going to have some carrot soda, which is something we make at Clover. I think we make both of these at Clover. And we're also going to do a vanilla soda, which will be a lot of fun. And of course, sugar for the soda. So we're going to use a little bit of salt in the soda as well, and we also are going to put a little bit of lemon juice in the soda. So those are going to be the ingredients if you want to follow along with the soda. And we need to have sparkling water, so we have a Soda Stream, which makes bubbling water, but you could use something else. If you just have bottles that you open up, that works fine too. And you're going to want ice as well for the soda. You got something?
Yeah, somebody said they didn't have any yeast,
Yeah.
and they only had nutritional yeast.
That will not work. So nutritional yeast sounds like yeast, but it's not going to make anything rise. I'm sorry. We will get into doing sourdoughs. It's not this super quick pizza dough we're making right now, but it is something that we'll get into in some future weeks. So sorry for those of you who don't have any instant yeast. It's going to be hard to follow along with this one. All right. So let's get the recipe up there so you guys can all know what's going on. So I make this dough by feel, and so I actually had to try it out this morning just to make sure that I knew what to tell you all in terms of proportions and measurements, so you can follow along. So the kids had some bites of pizza for breakfast, which was sort of funny.
It was
but
really good.
It was yummy. And we should actually put in that order, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Put in that order.
Violet, do you want to do it?
Can I do it?
You want to do it, Blue? All right. So let's put it in.
What should we get?
Pizza. So I already looked to see if Dominos would deliver here, and sadly they do not. Just sort of a bummer, because I thought that would be really fun, because they have a little ticker that tells you when the pizza's being made. I read an article, somebody sat in Domino's once and saw that whole thing's made up, that whole time thing doesn't actually match up with what people are doing, but I still thought it would be sort of fun. Should we do Sorrento's pizza?
Do they?
Which one's Sorrento's? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Is that the one in Concord?
Not sure.
No. What's the one in Concord that's sort of yummy?
There's one that's pretty close. It's like.
Oh man, there's a bunch that are closed right now.
Let's just get one that is open.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Good idea.
I think that's a good idea. Lena's size pizza.
Is that open?
Should we try this one? Yeah, it looks like it's open. $0 delivery fee. Now, if I was really fair, I'd be starting making my pizza right now because it does take a few minutes just to pick this out. All right, so why don't you order us a large cheese pizza, and then just add that to the order, and just skip all those things.
Just order. I just order.
Yeah, just do a traditional crust. There you go. Skip all those things, and then yeah, you need to go check out. I think. How do we do this? So it says all these other things it wants us to order. We don't want to do those other things. They said free delivery, but now they're charging us for delivery. Who knows? Thank you, DoorDash. All right, so we're waiting for the little checkout thing. I think it's fair for me to start now. Here you go, Blue. You can make sure that gets in. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to I'm going to make this pizza dough, and the way we're going to do this, we're gonna push it at every step. It's in.
Question. There's a question.
Yeah, what's the question?
Somebody asked if they could use sourdough starter.
It won't go like fast like this. I mean, the only way to pull this off is to have instant yeast. So you can make, next week we'll do overnight pizza dough, and you can do that in a lot of different ways, but for this particular recipe, the only way to do it is the way we're going to do it right now. All right, so we're going to want to decide how much dough to make. I think typically we would make about half a kilo of dough. I think we'll make a little larger amount today, and so we'll write this recipe up.
Stop circling.
What's that? Still not even going to fool yet?
No.
Oh, that doesn't feel very fair if I start and then does it. I think that DoorDash froze. So, so I'm not sure, but I think what we'll do is we'll crash out of that program. We'll try and open it again. I didn't think we'd have technical difficulty with our ordering out, but
You could start making soda.
okay. View in cart. Continue.
You have to do soda.
Okay, now it's going to let me do it.
Alright.
All right, let's give that person a big tip because who wants to be out in this rain delivering pizza? All right, it's in. Okay, so the order is submitted. All right, let's get back to this. So let's. All right.
Is this a turn? Yep, it's worked.
All right, so 3 cups of flour is about 500 grams of flour. And so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Okay. And Luke, can you give me a measuring spoon?
Sure. What size? Okay. Please.
Okay. Thank you. And now we're going to do 2 teaspoons of yeast. All right, 2 teaspoons of yeast. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. So this is probably about 7 or 8 grams. This is probably about the same. And now we're going to get water in there. So grab this. This is part of the trick. So first trick to getting this to happen really quickly. And I'm going to turn the oven on. I'm going to turn it on the highest temperature I have, which is about just below 500 degrees. And with this water, I'm going to bring it out of the out of the faucet pretty hot. And the yeast doesn't like being in water that's over body temperature, but I'm pulling this water around 110 degrees, which is like, you can put your hand in it, but it's just borderline uncomfortable. It's definitely hot feeling in your hand. And that is a little hotter than the yeast like, but I figure it's going to be okay because the yeast are going to be in the flour, and the flour is going to bring the water temperature down a little bit, so we'll all be all right. Now, so I know how much I need to do by weight. I actually didn't measure this by cups last time I did it, so let's do that right now. Okay. So that was 1.5 cups of water. All right. So, and then we're going to put in about a tablespoon of olive oil. Now I've got a mixer with a dough hook, and I'm just going to let that get started there. But I'll show you, we can also do this right here. We can do this by hand. So let's do that as well. So we'll do the same thing. 1, 2. How's that pizza order coming? 3.
Yeah,
Says it's going
yeah,
through? All right. 1.
They said
2.
they'd give us live updates.
Oh yeah? Well, we'll have to pay attention to that then. 1. And 1. All right. So now this is a pretty wet dough, so I'm going to start out with a spoon just to keep myself from getting too messy. You can see that coming together. So this is what a baker would call an 80% hydration. That means we count the amount of flour that goes in first, and then we count the water against that flour amount. So we put in 500 grams of flour. So say that was twice as much, that'd be 1,000 grams of flour. That would be like between both of these. And then we put in 400 grams of water. So if that was twice as much, it'd be 800 grams of water. And 800 grams over 1,000 is going to be 80%. So we're at 80% hydration with this dough, which is a fairly wet dough. All right, and so this one's looking pretty good to me. I'm just going to mix it around a little bit more. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just developing some of the gluten. That's going to help us hang on to the bubbles from the yeast as they develop. And it's also going to give us a little bit of a stretchy consistency. Now, I know this looks really, really sticky, and it is, so that's because of the amount of water we use in this dough. But it's going to be awesome when it comes time to make the pizza. So, I'm going to just wash this off my hands because I got all that goopy dough. And this is a little advantage of using a mixer. You don't really have to deal with getting the dough all over your hands. I'm going to reach down here and just make sure that mixture is all getting in there. So there's a lot of stages to making perfect dough that we're skipping right now. But like I said, the point here is to make something that's better than a frozen dough, it's better than a frozen pizza, it's better than a pizza delivery. And I think in many ways this is going to be far superior to those. So I'm running at a little higher speed right now. And it's just about ready there. That's it. So that whole process, it should take us about 2 or 3 minutes to mix up the dough. I did 2 here. I did 1 to show you with the mixer, and I did 1 to show you by hand. So we actually sort of did double work. But it should take about that amount of time to get it set up. And then we're going to let it sit now for about 20 minutes. right, and then this one, I'm going to take a little bit of oil, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil in this bowl. I'm going to go ahead and just grab that dough out of there. And so you can see we got two doughs, one we did by hand, one we did in the mixer with a dough hook. I'm going to put them here toward the back of the oven. The reason I'm doing this is trick number 2. I start out with warm water. Heat activates yeast, so it's much happier and it works, metabolizes much more quickly in hot air environments. So I put hot water into the dough, and that helps get the yeast sped up because the dough is a little bit warm now instead of cold. And then putting the whole thing toward the back of the oven, this oven is trying to get up to 500 degrees, and it's exhausting some heat off the back. So that's going to create a nice environment for my dough. All right, and now I think what we should do next is get some of the ingredients ready for topping the pizzas. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's do
Do we have any
this.
pineapple?
What's that?
Do we have any pineapple?
We do.
Yeah.
We do actually have pineapple.
Where?
We can put pineapple on one of the pizzas. All right.
Is it in the downstairs?
No, I got it. It's in the cupboard there. I'll get it in a second. You can actually probably see it. It's right up there in the cupboard in the pantry. All right. So Violet, you want to put these away?
Sure. I want to.
So right now it's 1/2 so we're going to give that about 15 or 20 minutes to sit. I'm going to hold this flour out because I'm going to need that later. I'm going to hold the salt out because I'm going to need it later, and I'm going to need the olive oil. This can go in the fridge. You want to put that in the drawer in the fridge? You got pineapple ready to go. Want to put this guy away? Scale. And do we have a cheese grater around here, Valerie?
Yeah, should we make
Cheese grater's in the dishwasher. All right, so how are we looking there, bud? Did you find everything?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get our. Clemmy, you can join making the pizzas if you want. We're about to make some soda syrups too. So we're racing this delivery app. We put an order in. Did you hear about that plan?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, we called in a pizza,
We're seeing how it
and
goes.
we're seeing if ours comes out of the oven before someone knocks on the door. Yeah, that was Violet's reaction too. She wasn't sure about this whole
I
plan.
don't know if we're gonna. I don't think. I mean.
I'm very confident.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do this.
Okay.
You guys aren't so sure. Oh, we're fine.
Let's have maybe.
We're fine.
cheese.
Okay. So we got some cheese already
Should I
there.
open this
What's that?
one? Open this one?
Yeah, why don't you open that guy?
I can just vacuum seal.
And so when I'm making the pizza, I love to have all the ingredients ready to go in little bowls. It makes it much easier to top the pizza. And it's fun for the kids to help this way too. I'm getting thirsty too, so we're gonna have to get into that soda pretty soon.
I love pizza. Pizza. I like soda.
But we got all the major food groups covered. All right.
Is that Parmesan?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, are we gonna put mushrooms on?
Yeah.
Can we put on a few?
Yeah, we're gonna have a potato pizza, a pineapple pizza. We're gonna have a mushroom pizza. All right. So I know it's not a lot of fun to watch me grate Parmesan, but it's part of the challenge here.
Should we put it in a bowl?
What's that?
It's so airy.
Yeah. All right, we got one more cheese to grate up.
This airy. That's airy. We're gonna put pineapple.
Yeah, you want to put the pineapple in a bowl? That'd be great. Here you go, Blue.
Take that water out, you.
So, yeah, pour it into a little jar. We can save that. Actually, we'll make a pineapple soda. We'll have any soda today.
Yeah.
Good thinking, Blue. Yeah, save it in a little ball jar, okay? Get a little ball jar.
I got a little ball jar. I'm gonna take this.
Nice job, bud. Okay, and we are in pretty good shape for the pizza toppings. So, just taking a peek at my watch. This dough's had about 8 or 9 minutes here, but this is on a super accelerated schedule, so I'm expecting it's starting to start. Those little yeasts are starting to act and create some bubbles. Let's see. Let's get our tomato sauce ready. So I say tomato sauce. I use that term sort of lightly here. I like to. My favorite tomato sauce for pizza is just tomatoes out of a can like this with a little bit of salt sprinkled on them. And what we'll do is these ones are diced. So sometimes I'm buying cans that are whole, sometimes diced. I never ever buy the cans that have the basil added in. I think that is, I don't know why they do that. I don't know who buys those. I wish they'd stop selling them. Because every once in a while I pick them up by accident and I'm always like frustrated about it. So these are diced tomatoes and I'm going to go ahead and put these in the blender.
Is this not
Okay, and that's all they're going to get. And we're going to put the tomato sauce.
I love tomatoes.
Yeah, me too. So these are beautiful organic tomatoes. So another thing I couldn't do if I was ordering this is I couldn't order it with organic tomato sauce. I don't know if anybody doing that around here. Last thing, maybe onions. All right, so we've cut a lot of onions on the show, but I'm gonna go through the onion cutting every single time. So if you watch all these shows and you follow along, you're gonna become an expert onion cutter. I'm gonna start out with taking off the root side, and then I'm gonna rotate the onion over to the other side using a nice claw with my hand. I'm going to cut the other side off. If you don't understand what I mean when I say claw or any of that, go back and watch some of the previous episodes. We've gone through this a few times. I'm making a bridge, and I'm coming through, and now I'm going to take the opportunity to remove the skin from the onion, because now that it's halved. There we go. So that skin's going to come right off without too much trouble.
Do you have compost bowl?
Yeah, we need a little compost bowl, don't we? I've got a little bowl here. I can do that. All right, and then I'm going to, this time, I'm not going to dice these. I'm going to put these on the pizza. So I just want nice half moons, half onion rings. You guys have some questions coming over there?
Not yet.
Not yet, just checking it out. All right. So get the onions here. How do you think the DoorDash order is coming? Now, it is true if you did the DoorDash, you would just be kicking your feet up and not doing anything, so that is a difference, but I think cooking can be a lot of fun. These guys know that. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen at home, but I think it can be fun for everybody. I think we can all experiment and play and try new things. Alright, so I'm just going to wash that clean. I'm making sure the surface is dry because we're going to be making our pizzas there pretty soon. Alright, I'm going to get a couple, these are what I use to make pizza. If you don't have this, you can use something else. This lets me put 4 of them in the oven at a time, but obviously you can use all sorts of different, any kind of cooking sheet to cook the pizzas. In a future episode, we will do pizzas on like a baking steel, which is sort of like a baking stone, pizza stone, and I'll talk a lot more about how to get the crispiest crust and how to get your pizza to a perfect place. this episode, we're just doing a quick pizza. And I think all we need right now is just for the oven to be at a really high temperature. So I think we're all set here. Now let's take a quick peek at our dough. And what I expect is it's grown a little bit in size. When I touch it, I think that it should have like a little bit of a, it's not quite like a marshmallow yet, but it's getting there. So it has a little bit of a puffiness to it. Yep.
So somebody asked, why do you cut the onions on a cutting board instead of the...
Oh, because the onions leave a terrible flavor in anything they touch. So I don't like that flavor on this wood. So we just separate onions. At Clover, we actually have all of our reusable containers we put food in. The ones we use with anything that has onions in it has a red band on it that we have custom printed on those containers by Cambro, the company that manufactures these, and they all say onions, and then all the other containers are different and they're black. So I'm really sensitive to having that off onion flavor. I love onions when I want them. I hate onions in my fruit salad or something like that. So we save the wood for non-oniony flavors. So onions, garlic, they all go on the separate board. Anything else, guys? I think we're pretty good here, right?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
All right, so we're getting close to being ready to do pizzas. What we're gonna do next is I'm gonna take a little bit of flour and I'm gonna put some of this flour down here. I'll put some over here. This is gonna be a little staging area. And I'm gonna take these doughs and for the purpose of people following home, I think the size of these balls we're gonna create are gonna be about 200 grams. If you happen to have a scale and you want to measure it, can you grab the scale for me, Blue, just so we can show people what that looks like?
Here's scale.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to take, this is going to be about 200 grams, and using a little bit of that flour to keep it from sticking on me. 218 grams. There we go. Not too bad. Take this one. It's going to be probably about the same. Let's get a little more flour. 160. I underdid it on that one. 230. All right, there's 200 grams. Pretty good. And now what we're going to do with these little guys, we're going to just turn them back on themselves a little bit and put them into, we're not going to handle them too much. We're just going to handle them just enough to get them into little balls. Set them up like that. With this one,
Okay.
see how much that weighs?
100.
200, 198. Look at that, getting a little bit better. All right, so we're gonna get this guy.
Do you think the DoorDash is...
Think it's here yet?
No. Ooh.
I was feeling nervous about it. All right, we'll see what happens. 200 grams, and this little one
Where
is
are we ordering pizza from?
Sorrento's. Is that what it said?
No, Linda's. I think.
Oh yeah, Lena's maybe.
Linda's, something like that. Oh,
Do you know what it is?
Is that the one near Vero, near that road?
no, I think that's like Bruce.
Rossini's, right?
Ross-
It's not
Ross-
Rossini's.
Rosie.
Different one.
but
They
there's
weren't.
another
They
one.
weren't on there. It was DoorDash, so I didn't know. I don't know which ones are on there. There's some ones I didn't recognize.
How much is that?
A little bit too much.
A little bit more.
Okay,
That's
200.
good.
Do you want to pull that into a little ball? So, yeah, obviously, it doesn't matter if you get all of these exactly the same size. We sometimes make pizzas up and freeze them. And when we do that, it helps a lot to get the size exact because we want all those pizzas to be the same size when they go in their little freezer pouches.
Frozen this morning.
Yep, we froze them up this morning because I was making pizza at breakfast time. But in terms of just doing it at home, you obviously don't need to bother with the scale. I was just trying to give you all a sense of how to think about the size of these balls and how much we're doing. So we're just just tucking those in the back. And this dough is, you know, it's feeling nice. It's a little bit pillowy. And so at this point, if you weren't in so much of a rush, you could leave this and let these rise a little longer. But we are trying to beat a pizza delivery thing, so we're getting ready to turn this into pizza. You want to put that away? All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to get a little cloth.
We don't make our own.
Yeah, we can. I'm going to put a little cloth to sit on top of those just to keep them from drying out. And then I'm going to take one of these little doughs.
Let's make it better.
What's that? Oh, you're trying to fit them all in. Don't worry about it, Sweetie. It's okay. So I'm going to put these doughs here, and I'm going to use my fingertips. I think Chris Anderson taught me this trick of making pizza, and it works really, really well. So you keep the dough pretty tender, and you keep from getting holes in it, and you move it really nicely if you just tap it with your fingertips to just place the dough instead of trying to roll it or something like that. And so I get it to the shape I want, and then I flip it a few times, and I've got a nice sized pizza here. We tend to make pizzas about 10 inches in size. So, yeah, I'm not going to flip it today. I've got something else I'm trying to do, which is beat the pizza wagon. So this is rice flour. This might not be something everybody has at home. If you have a grinder, you can just put white rice in the grinder and grind it. And it's a really awesome, like ball bearing like surface to cook pizza on. If you don't have that, you could use parchment paper, you could use regular flour. The rice doesn't burn like regular flour does, so that's one of the reasons I prefer it. Now I'm going to go ahead and, Blue, can you get me a big spoon?
Sure.
Thank you.
For the...
Just to put the tomato sauce on.
Yeah.
So I'm putting down a little bit of olive oil first. I like to do that. It keeps your crust from picking up too much of the moisture from the tomato sauce. So this is...
Is this too big?
Oh, that's fine. That'll work. Thank you. So this olive oil is getting like a protective layer. And you can see I went around the outside of that too. Now I'm going to get my tomatoes, and I'm not going to overdo it with the tomatoes. So I'm going to put those tomatoes on there. Oh, DoorDash says, hey, Ari, your order has been picked up. Uh-oh, your dasher's on the way. Isn't that funny? All right, now it's a race.
Told you.
We're on. Oh, we're going to beat them, Violet.
Wait,
Now,
do we just have to get one?
I often rub a little bit of tomato sauce on the outside of my crust there. You don't have to do that, but it protects it from burning a little, so it lets me cook it a little longer. I'm going to put some salt on. When you're using the fresh tomatoes, you don't want to forget that salt.
I think
And
it's under 37 minutes away.
I'm going to put some cheese on here. Let's make some. And I like to have the cheese come right up to the crust when I make a pizza. So I'm going to try to get some cheese right close to that edge of that crust as well. I like the crust, but I like having something flavorful on it. And I'm going to, yes, you can, Blue.
Yeah.
I'm going to put some kale on it there. You're not going to put honey on it though,
No, it's good on the
no.
crust.
Not going to happen. We're going to put some onions on. Put a couple onions on there. I don't want to overdo it with the onions or any of the topping really. So that's what this will look like before it goes on. We'll put a little bit of Parmesan on there. And then this is going in the oven. This oven is at the highest temperature our oven will go, which is about just shy of 500 degrees. And that's a lot colder than a pizza oven, a proper pizza oven at a pizza store will be. But it's going to be good enough for us to get what we want out of that pizza. So let me make a second one, just because Violet wasn't sure if it was going to be sufficient just to have one pizza done in time. So don't worry, you'll get a chance to make some.
But they're only bringing pizza.
They are, but
It's large.
I don't know. But Violet asked me about it, and so I feel a little bit obligated to make sure we're getting plenty of pizza done here. So bring that through a little bit, and then. Okay, got my pizza crust all set. Getting my sheet ready. There we go. Put my dough down there. So you get to see a little faster version of this. I didn't put the olive oil on first though. I guess I'm working too fast. We'll get to see the difference with one that has olive oil first and one that doesn't. Some styles of pizza put cheese first. It's one of my favorite things about pizza. I love all the different styles of pizza. It's really, really fun. People make pizza in so many different ways, and I think it's awesome. Let's see.
Can we put some mushrooms on this one?
Yeah, let's do some mushrooms.
Oh, do we have any the fake sausages?
We do have some fake sausages.
That's actually a pretty good idea, but like this. Can we put one on? Can we put like one on one of the pizzas?
Yeah. Looks good. A little bit of Parmesan on there. A couple onions.
Oh jeez.
Oh, geez.
Snorri's our guard dog.
All right.
Probably bark if.
He'll probably bark when it comes. Yep, we're going to put a second pizza in there. Now, I think we should transition from pizzas for a moment and make ourselves some sodas.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yes, definitely. Except we're a little out of vanilla. I'll make
Um,
some bubbly water.
It's gonna be all right. Okay, so we're gonna make sodas now, and I'll walk you guys through that process to get my blender cleared out in order to do this. So let's get all those tomato sauces out of there. We gotta rinse this blender out. Lou, will you grab the computer and move it out of the way there?
Sure.
Thank you. So the trick with the soda syrups is we'll do a 2-to-1 syrup. So in this case, we're going to have, I think this is the amount I'll make, so this depends on how much you want in the end, but I'm going to be doing 1 cup of sugar and 2 of water. Now it's interesting, when we started doing the soda syrups at Clover, my experience, so there's 1 cup of sugar. My experience with syrups had been making them for mixed drinks, and you often make a different ratio there. So I'm going to do 2 cups of water, and my blender is going to generate a lot of heat, so it'll melt this really well. But if you have a blender that's not going to generate as much heat, maybe a less powerful blender, I would just warm up the water a little bit or add some boiling water to it, just so you have some heat in that water. It doesn't have to be piping hot, but you want a little bit of heat. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in here. Not very much. I'm going to put like a pinch of salt in there, a little bit of salt. And then can you see if there's any lemons over there? I think we should have another lemon still.
Yeah.
Awesome. You want to bring that over?
Sure.
And let's start out with the vanilla. This one's a lot of fun. So for this quantity, I'm going to want, I just have to figure out how to get those vanilla beans out of there. They're waiting, I think they're waiting for the driver, see if we win or lose. It's going to be funny, huh? Oh, that's not working very well, is it? I think I already took out all the tall ones. Wait a minute, I got one. Okay. Alright, so for this 1 cup of sugar, I'm going to put 1 vanilla bean. That's a spent vanilla bean too, meaning I already used it for another purpose. Is it here?
Nope.
Not yet, huh? Alright. And
should I make some bubbly water?
that would be really nice. Let's maybe make the bubbly water in a second. So I want about a tablespoon of lemon juice. For this amount, probably 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. I have the recipe from when we do it Clover. So it's not a lot of lemon juice, and it's definitely not a lot of salt, but they'll both end up making the whole thing taste a lot better. The salt will make the flavor pop, and so will the lemon, but the lemon will also help maintain, especially if you're using fresh fruits, it'll keep that color really bright, and it will be a preservation agent in there. So I've got a vanilla pod, I've got a little bit, teeny bit of salt, teeny bit of lemon juice, and I've got a 2-to-1 mixture of water to sugar. That's 2 parts water, 1 part sugar. You're gonna go ahead and put this in the blender. Now turn that on. So I'm gonna start low, break up that vanilla pod. Gonna pulse it a little bit. I'm gonna blast it for a minute. Here we go. so I'm just running this through a strainer. That's going to catch all these little bits of vanilla pulp. The color there, it's a little bit of a, I don't know, like light tan color. That's mostly because I have some organic sugar in there that has that color naturally. If you're using like a white Domino sugar, it wouldn't look like that. It would probably be more clear in color. And now I'm just going to look for a vessel to put this in. Okay, and
Questions?
what's that?
One was, what kind of salt are you using? Are you using same at Clover?
I'm using a sea salt here, and at Clover we use sea salt for some things. We probably use a kosher salt for this at Clover, so it'd probably be a little different salt. But I've adjusted, and those things actually measure out a little differently. But I adjusted it by weight, meaning I put a teeny little pinch in. It's not very much.
And there's another one, but I didn't call you one.
So like I said, this is not a very thick syrup, so it's a 2-to-1 water to sugar ratio. That is done so that it will mix really easily with the soda water. What we found when we had thicker syrups, they didn't mix as well.
Somebody asked also if
Yeah.
they could use vanilla extract instead of a vanilla pod.
I wouldn't recommend that. So if all you have is vanilla extract, I would focus on making maybe a non-vanilla soda. The vanilla soda is really about tasting that vanilla taste, which is really a lot of fun. Should we do a cranberry one next?
Sure.
Clem, you want to help out with this?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So let's do this. You're going to put a cup of sugar in here, okay? And we're going to put some water in there too. Pizza's smelling good. I think we should check on it pretty soon, Violet. What do you think?
Yeah.
Smell good to you too? You want to turn the light on there before we open the door? Let me see.
Can't quite see, but do you have pineapple?
Oh, they're getting there. They need another minute or so.
Do you have pineapple soda Clover? I don't think so.
We don't have pineapple soda at Clover. No, we've never done that one. All right, you want to make a pizza, Blue?
Yes.
Why don't you get going on a pizza there, okay? Yeah.
Should I add 2 cups of water to it?
Yeah, and let's, yeah, 2 cups of water. So we're gonna do like not a freezing cold water. Bingo. And if you can, you'd like to use filtered water or bottled water. So if you have a Brita water filter, that could work really well. But we want to think about water when we use it in cooking as one of the ingredients, and it will affect how things taste in the end. So you want to use great tasting water. And now, you want to do the cranberry one, Clemmy?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we're gonna do. Okay, we're gonna do half a cup of cranberries. All right, this one we're not gonna add the lemon to it because the cranberries are gonna add plenty of acidity on their own. They don't really need much help with that, but we're still gonna add a little pinch of salt, and it is a little teeny pinch. Awesome. Go ahead and put it on there. There's the lid. And then Violet, do you want to do the next soda?
Sure.
Cool.
Next one, carrot soda?
Yeah.
Or pineapple soda?
Carrots.
Okay.
One hand stretching it. Good. I'll help you. When you get a little hole like that, just gotta turn that over and press that in, and it'll be just fine. We've got some holes there too. We'll just press those in too. Oops. All right, and so get it all the way out there. There you go. These are pretty close. How's that look?
It looks good. Such a pretty color.
All right, so just go right over the strainer right here.
Okay.
We'll just go right over those vanilla pods. They won't hurt at all.
It smells good.
Yeah. There you go. So I'm getting ready to take those pizzas out because they're getting really close. Oh, you didn't forget the olive oil this time. Good job, Blue. So now you can see these are getting a little more pillowy. So they're in a really nice stage right now. You want to make this one?
Yeah. Could you put these on? Sure.
All right.
Yeah,
So what are you putting on your pizza there, Blue?
Pineapples.
So you can see my hand beneath that. It's stretching out really nicely.
Wonder what would go good. Fake sausage. Tomato sauce. Onions, probably.
Okay.
Kale.
You got it, Blue?
Okay.
Awesome.
So
Is that pizza here yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Probably soon.
Well, I think ours is about to come out, so
Yes.
I think we may have won this challenge. So, let's see here. Here's our first pizza.
Ready. Let's see how many we can do before, because we got large ones. Yeah.
All right, and then get a second one out. Oopsies. Sorry, Clem, you did that to me too. We gotta fix that later, huh?
Do you have a container to put this inside?
These look really beautiful. And then, I don't, sweetie, hold on a minute. I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit of olive oil on these. There we go. And those are beautiful. They look really nice. So we've got 2 pizzas up. Let's let them cool a minute before we bite into them. Give the driver a second to get here, huh?
Oh yeah. Maybe.
Give the driver time
Yeah.
to catch up.
You give the driver some time to catch up, huh? So you're looking for a jar for the soda syrup. You know, there's so many jars in our fridge right now. You know, Benjamin's that guy.
Very. Oh, leftovers.
I know. We have a lot of leftovers right now. Maybe, Violet, are you gonna do, which one are you gonna do
I'm
now?
gonna try doing the sausage and maybe some onion.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
You know, if you're opening those sausages, that might be good on my crab and potato pizza too.
Yes. Ooh, I could try potatoes also with
I'm
it.
trying to get this one out of here. I don't know how it even got in
I
there.
love
There it goes.
potatoes.
Um,
I like mine some.
how are you looking there, Clemmy?
Perfect.
Good?
See? Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna make up another soda syrup. This last one,
Such a pretty color.
the cranberries. I love the cranberries. So our last soda
Oh, we
syrup.
have 2. Carrot and pineapple.
What's that?
Carrot and pineapple.
Oh, well, the pineapple, yeah, I'll show you. The pineapple is sort of ready to go as it is. There's not much work we have to do there. But we do have to do the carrot. All right, I'm just cleaning out my strainer here. Okay. That's just some cranberry pulp. And so I didn't mind putting a little bit of the vanilla pulp flavor in with the cranberry syrup. I think it's actually going to be complimentary and yummy, but I don't really want the cranberry syrup in. Somebody here?
No, somebody asked a question.
Oh.
So they're wondering if they
Yes.
should eyeball pizza or there's any like actual time that you wanna.
Say that again? If what?
If they should just eyeball
How do you know when to take
Or-
the pizza out?
pizza. Is eyeball pizza
Okay. That depends entirely on your oven, and so it's really hard to know without working with your oven a little bit. So I would suggest that you eyeball it. And what I'm looking for when I look in there, it's a very, very high temperature it's cooking at. I want to make sure it's not all the way burnt, but I basically want to go as long as I can before that spot. This is a really wet dough, so it's going to be hard to burn it all the way. But at that high temperature and cooking a lot, I'm putting some olives on Blue's pizza here. And a little bit of onions too, because I think it was looking
Should I cook
a little bit naked.
Another question about the sodas.
So you're going to cook it up until the point where it's like just shy of burning. Yep.
Just like
So we make
Carrot
carrot soda?
Let's do the carrot soda. So for the carrot soda, we're going to do the exact same method. So why don't we do 2 cups of sugar, and, or sorry, 1 cup of sugar, 1
2
cup of
cups
sugar,
water.
2 cups of water. And I'm going to take some of these carrots, make a little room here, getting crowded. I'm going to take some of these carrots and I'm going to cut these slightly. The reason for that is it just makes it a lot easier for the blender to work through these. Also, it's going to be a lot easier for me to measure them out. I've got a half cup measure here, and I'm going to...
Do you think I can put a potato on this one?
Sure, if you want to. So I'm going to do a generous half cup there. Carrots, let's get those in.
Someone had a question about the sodas also.
All right, awesome.
Someone said, does ginger bring lemon?
Acidity?
Lemon?
No, it's different. You want the lemon with the ginger.
And
The
then
only one I wouldn't do lemon with is like cranberry, or if you have a very tart berry, like maybe if you have blackberries or something like that. But otherwise, if it's not like puckering, then I would definitely add a little bit of lemon juice.
how much sparkling water should you put with soda?
Really good question, because I think we're ready to taste some of these. What do you think, Blue?
Yes.
All right. So let's get ourselves some glasses.
Should I add the 2 cups water into the carrot
Yes,
soda?
please.
Come here.
Somebody here with a pizza? Yes?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Oh my goodness.
I think Connor will let us know when I have
All right, all right.
it. And there will be
So here we go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill it all the way with ice, and then I'm gonna bring it up to about this mark on this glass, right about there, and then I'm gonna transition to my syrup, and I'm gonna bring that up the rest of the way. So this is probably, we'll do the next one. Why don't we do an actual measure on the next one? Do you have that? So I would bring it up to about this spot. Now, when you're making these, taste them, see what you like. Because if you like it sweeter, you can add a little bit more sugar in. If you like it less sweet, you can add less sugar in. You can really adjust it to whatever you
Should I
love.
blend up the carrots?
Yes, that's awesome, Plum. So I was looking for the measuring spoon. So we did a vanilla one there. Let's do cranberry next one, huh? So I'd say it's like 2.5 tablespoons. This is, so I don't know how many fluid ounces that is, but somebody could probably figure that out. Maybe I can include that in the recipe. This is probably, this glass is probably about a 10-ounce glass, and it's got a lot of ice in it, so it's going to be less than 10 ounces of soda. So we've got here vanilla soda, we've got a cranberry soda. Now let's make a pineapple soda.
It's here.
It's here?
I think so. Somebody just pulled my rug.
Okay.
Somebody also said,
And then I'm gonna,
does club soda work?
club
instead
soda
of
works
sparkling?
great. Yes. No problem.
Look what
And then add a little bit. There we go. Oh, I said I put on the thing just to drop it at the door, and I already did tip, so should be a-okay. All right, so we've got 3 different sodas here, and then there's going to be a 4th coming up. Let me take a peek at these new pizzas that are in the
Somebody's
oven. Is definitely someone here?
Get the dogs.
Yeah.
All right.
Blue. They're just gonna drop it at the door.
They're just going to drop it. It's all right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a little thing on DoorDash you can say drop it at the door and you can give them a tip. I think it's the new contactless door dashing. So I'm going to come down over here.
Yeah, I just dropped it at the door.
Okay, pinch there.
So we.
I think we won that race. What do you think, Violet?
Yep.
Yeah, I think we did. Let's cut a slice of ours. I'm going to get one more of these guys running. Can you give me a spoon there to push this around, Blue? Just
Sure.
a spoon from the drawer.
They all look so good.
You see that? Thank you, Blue.
carrot soda, yep. We'll stir up.
We'll just do 2 more of these quickly. This is one. I'll make this one. There we go. All right, let's make that one with roasted vegetables. Put some nice generous amount of cheese on that. Yeah, I'll get the potato crab one next. Rick's pointing to the kraut. We like sauerkraut a lot at our house, And that's great because it's super nutritious, and I made a lot of sauerkraut. That crock over there is full of sauerkraut, so it's a great one for us to use. All right, so I got some roasted vegetables on this one. Maybe I'll put a little bit of kale there too. Sprinkle a little kale around on that one. Get that one going, and
The carrot soda is finished.
carrot soda's finished. All right, that looks awesome. You want to try and make one? Do you see how I was doing it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'll make myself a carrot one.
Yeah. All right, and I feel like we gotta go
So
get
good.
that pizza that's been waiting out there.
Do you want me to go grab that?
I'll go grab this sweet. Thank you though. All right, so I've got this last pizza here. Just want to get one more pizza up. This last pizza here is gonna have a beer cheese sauce on it that we made the other night for pretzels. So I said I don't like white pizzas, but I think I'm gonna like this one. All right, so I'm gonna get that spread around a little bit. Now, let's put some kraut on there. Can you give me a fork to grab the kraut out? And might as well put a couple sausages. These are just some fake tofurkey sausages on here. That'll be fun. Here, but I think that's good too. I know you'd always like more of that, but I think that's good. We're gonna put a little kraut on there, and then some potatoes. And I could slice these potatoes, but I'm actually just gonna crumble them a little bit in my hands. Okay. And we could give this a little bit of pepper on top. So this is just some cracked pepper, and we're gonna put a little bit more cheese on that.
Yum.
Just a little bit on the top. And
It's gonna be a really good pizza.
you know, I think I saw a sprig of rosemary sitting in the fridge.
The pizza's at the doors.
Okay, I'll get it, don't worry.
Oh, the subs look really good.
All right, now I'm just gonna tear up a little bit of rosemary. Careful not to get too much on there. All right, and we'll put this in the oven. Tuck that in so it don't fall over. Might need to pull one. So when people were asking what's done, I would let that go another couple minutes. We'll just put that back in.
Somebody asked, what's the white stuff? Not really
What's the white stuff? That was a beer cheese sauce I made the other day when we had pretzels. So let's try one of these. Well, we'll go get that pizza at the door.
Where should I?
I'll go get it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a nice thin crust. Clem, you want to try one?
Yeah.
Mmm.
It's really good.
You like it? Mm.
Mushrooms are my favorite topping on pizza.
It's really good mushrooms. Mm.
Can I have some?
Mm-hmm.
It's mushroom pizza.
When I'm aiming for, I'm tasting things. Violet doesn't like mushrooms. When I'm tasting things, I'm usually trying to get to a place where like I want another bite and I want another bite. And that's the moment where everything's coming together in a really beautiful way. This is definitely fits that bill. Your pineapple one's coming out in a second. I'm gonna go get the pizza door.
Yeah. We're gonna be having pizza tonight.
like it when the crust has a little bit.
To that. Would you like to do that?
All right, so we have here our delivery pizza.
That's a big pizza.
Well, we ordered a large. That's why you made me make 2, right? To try to
Yeah.
catch up with it. And
It also dry though.
we have next to that, with that file. What were we saying? They had to dry it here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, if they didn't have to drive here, we probably wouldn't have had a chance. So here we've got one of the pizzas that just came out of our oven, and right behind me we have the pizza that came by delivery. So this is Blue's Pineapple Pizza Special, and this is what was this called again?
Linda's, yeah.
Lena's or Linda's Pizza. So.
That's
So you can see, I bet this is a yummy pizza. I haven't tried this before, but I'll give it a bite.
Is it good?
Not as good as your pizzas.
I think it's a pretty good pizza. Like, obviously we're not scared of sharing COVID with one another in case any of us has it. But this one might be a little bit hot for me, but. So, we got it done just as fast. We got to use our own ingredients, and we know exactly what's in the pizza we're eating. And we had a lot of fun doing it, right, guys?
Yeah.
Sodas also.
And want to taste some sodas?
Yes.
All right. Let's taste some sodas. Yeah, you can make the last one. This is a vanilla violet. That's cranberry. That's pineapple.
Yeah, pineapple and then
Carrot.
Carrot.
Pick the one you like best.
I like vanilla and I like pineapple and I like cranberry and I like carrot.
Which one are you gonna have?
I think I'll go with. Which one do you want?
Okay.
Take your.
I will cranberry, I would say.
Okay, then I'll go.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'll go for vanilla soda. Let's try.
Carrot. Carrot's just so good.
Vanilla soda always tastes really creamy to me, and I like this a lot. You can see little vanilla seeds floating in there because we just made it. And you can play around. There's nothing saying you couldn't mix 2 of these syrups and play around with what that tastes like. You could make it an adult beverage and play around with what that tastes like. And again, different than the sodas in the store, this can be a fun activity, and we also know exactly what's in this. And our sodas don't have that many ingredients, but most of the sodas you buy in a can or something have a lot of ingredients. You want to check if there's any more questions?
Yeah.
All right, last set of questions. What do you think, Brian?
No questions.
No questions? All right.
I put a little more.
We're going to close it out there. We're going to get to the rest of our Friday evening. Thank you all for joining. We'll be back on Monday at 4 o'clock.